Today is Monday, August the 5th. It is 11:07 a.m. and we are hosting or calling to order our RFP meeting for tree canopy health and maintenance. I'll do a roll call. We have Angela Pearson from the mayor's office,
Present.
Miss Judy Armstrong from the comptroller's office.
Present.
We have Mr. Jay Nelson from the Board of Aldermen.
Present.
And Alan Jankowski, Commissioner of Forestry.
Present. Whistler.
And Jason, is he voting?
Yes.
Oh, and then we have Jason O'Malley. Did I say it right?
Yes.
From Forestry.
He's present. Okay, and then Doretta, I think we need to vote on the minutes from the last meeting.
I don't know, do y'all? I haven't seen them. Tracy was supposed to send them to me and I still haven't gotten them. So I apologize. She was supposed to do that on Friday, but we were trying to get everything worked out from switching from one to the other, making sure everybody had enough notice. So she may have forgotten, but I'll shoot her an email. But I don't have the minutes, but if you all review them, we can vote on minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody receive them?
Honestly, I'm gonna say I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have them.
I don't have either.
Not anything.
So
Well, we will postpone the vote on the minutes until maybe our next meeting, or call a small little committee meeting to vote on those minutes, if that's okay with everybody.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got the conflict of interest statement. I'm going to print it now and get that scanned over.
Okay.
if we want to take a moment, do that, I'm gonna.
Yeah, because our printer
Yeah.
is a little bit of a walk. I'll need to leave my desk for a second.
Okay, good. I will too. Thanks.
Hey, Miss Judy,
Uh-huh.
so that you can vote, and I know that you're not able to print the conflict of interest, can't you shoot me a quick little email?
I
that
did.
Oh, you
I-
did?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. That works. Look, you sure did. I should have known you had it together, Miss Judy. You know, I gotta come to you when I don't know what to do. Alan,
All right, I sent mine over.
okay.
Should be good to
Alan,
go.
after we're done meeting, I need to talk to you for like 2 minutes. Okay.
Thanks for your patience. I had to load the printer with paper. I had to go find paper. It was a whole thing. Sorry about that. All right, I just scanned it to myself, Doretta, and we'll be forwarding it over to you.
Loretta, we should have Jason and I's.
I just printed it off.
Okay.
All right, I just sent it over.
Can we move forward in discussing the proposals, or do you want me to hold up?
I'm still waiting on Angela's
Okay, let me know.
email. I didn't refresh twice.
We can still move forward because that you just need that by the time we vote. So
Okay, well, let's move forward.
let's move forward.
Okay, so there was 4 proposals. Did everybody receive the proposals in the mail?
Yes.
Yeah, I read them online.
Okay. So Midwest Gates, Monster Tree Service, Hanson's, and Michael's Tree and Loader. So I thought we could start by discussing the tree removal portion of the contract. Jason, jump in, Bridget, if you would like. You need to see this. We had Midwest Gates did not put a proposal forward for removals. Looks like Hanson's did put a proposal together, but they were like an hourly rate versus what we asked with the price sheet. Midwest Scapes put in.
Because we asked per tree, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Midwest Scapes put it in. Looks like 0 to 12 was $350. 12 to 24 was $610. 24 to 36, $810, and 36 to 48, $1,290, 48 plus $1,770.
Wait, who are you looking at now?
Michael's Tree and Loader.
Okay.
And Alan, who currently has the contract?
There's no contract with this. Michael's Tree and Loader does have a street contract with us currently. And they also have an ash tree removal contract. So they remove ash trees and street trees currently with the city.
Gotcha.
RFP is pertaining to a grant that we have yet to execute.
So it's an $8 million grant that forestry or city received for trims, removals, tree planting, and then also watering and mulching.
301 to 306.
Of the two that are doing the removals, what's like, are there industry prices that we can use as a baseline for comparison? Like, are these fair prices?
Yeah, I feel like they're fair. Every company's a little different. You know, it depends on what kind of equipment they use, how quickly, how large the pieces they cut down. So I don't have any industry standards.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there is an industry standard, but it is, yeah, just kind of general awareness of what's going on in
Mhm.
a lot of private tree companies. I feel like these prices are fair.
Okay.
Monster Tree Service also came in at 0 to 12 inch, $300, 12 to 24, $750, 24 to 36, $1,200, and 48 plus $2,170. So kind of comparable. I feel a little more expensive, but
Have we worked with between the two? Have we worked with either one of these?
we
In the
have
past?
we have Michael's Tree and Loader Service on contract right now for our street
Okay.
removals. My concern about the cheaper one, Michael's Tree and Loader, is the amount, I guess the capacity of all these companies. I don't know Monster Tree Service. We've never worked with them, but it looks like they work with St. Louis County and U City and some other companies, Clayton, City of Clayton.
Mhm.
My concern about our goal is to remove 1,600 trees within the next 2 years. We'd like to get these trees down in the next 2 years so we can plant in the same spot or real close to these trees that we're removing. Concerned about capacity on how quickly any of these companies can get the trees down. So I was looking maybe to offer the bid for removals to Monster and MTL or Hanson's Monster and MTL. I know Hanson's didn't give us the price sheet that we recommend or that we asked for, but it looks like their price per hour was kind of comparable to what we were asking for. Or comparable to the other two companies.
So how many companies are you wanting to give this to?
We could give it to all three, and we have 1,600 trees to remove. And we were thinking about maybe we offer, 600 trees for the first quarter when we start this process and see how they remove the trees. And if they get them down within a month's time or 3 months' time, then we could give them another 200 trees and see how they work with our arborists. We do believe in MTL. They do quality work. I'm just nervous about the volume of work that they have already and how much they can take on, more they can take on. And
now in MTL, where it talked about having somebody that's their St. Louis representative, because their home office is Memphis.
is in Memphis,
yeah.
right?
And then now they have a location here.
They do not currently. They house their trucks in our yard right now
Forest Park.
in Forest Park, and they just work out of there. But they are currently looking for a location to purchase. That's all I know.
Okay,
But they do have a St. Louis team.
The team from St. Louis, last I checked, they were all, no, so last I checked, they were all from the St. Louis area. Doesn't mean that they don't bring teams up from Memphis or from other areas. They kind of, there's a large company that will kind of go where storms are throughout the nation and kind of team up with other companies to take care of a hurricane or a ice storm. So everybody that's in St. Louis right now, I believe, works in St. Louis or lives in St. Louis.
Okay, so between three that you want to pick, what type of contract are you looking for price-wise for the split?
I was looking not to kind of divvy it up evenly. We have, how much do we have for the trees?
1.6 million.
How much?
1.6 million.
We have 1.6 million earmarked for tree removal.
Okay.
Could we, Nelson, could we put that in, or Jay, could we put that in as, could we sign 3 contracts and say not to exceed 1.6 million on each one?
No, you would divvy it up. You
Okay,
would divvy it up. So for example, if you think MTL doesn't have the capacity, you'd give them the least amount of money. And then the other 2 that you think have more capacity of that, what was it, 1.6, 1.2? Of that 1.2, you would divvy it up so that they would have the bulk of the percentage of those funds.
okay.
So you would split it up 3 ways, but you can determine the percentage of how you split it up, which is what I would recommend.
I
Alright.
agree with that, but I also believe that if you're going to do 3 companies, then you have to do the same amount. So in your contract working out with them, you need to pay them all the same. So whatever that, you have to work out a fee of what you're going to pay for them. And this is my opinion, for them to agree that all 3 of them, I would hate for one company to get one amount, one to get something else. So I would think that you need all of them to agree on, this is what you're paying. But then I agree with you in terms of how you divvy it up.
Oh, you're saying like the removal rate
Yes, the
being the
rate.
same. Yes, I agree. Yes, the removal rate should all be the same. Whatever, I mean, what we decide. It sounds like, we've got 3 different, well, I don't know. I would want to talk to legal about that, because if someone negotiated lower rates, I mean, is that for us to
So we do have,
determine?
we've got six contractors that cut our grass, and
Yeah,
they're all
and they cut at different rates, right?
They're all 6 different. So
Yeah.
my concern is we got $8 million to divvy up between removals, trims,
Pruning, watering,
planting trees,
mulching,
watering trees, and the way
mulching.
the amounts we divvied it up will not be what's bidded.
Mhm.
So we want to plant 3,200 trees. We want to remove 1,600 trees. The $8 million won't equal out to be that right amount. So I guess I need to talk to the federal government as well and say, okay, we're only gonna be able to remove this many trees with the bids that came in. Do we want to move money from what we anticipated here? Do we want to plant less trees, or do we want to trim less trees, or do we want to remove less trees?
I think that's a priority that the forestry department needs to determine.
Yeah.
So based off of your operations, your CSB complaints, what what is the priority?
I think the priority for our CGIST areas is low canopy.
Mhm.
We need to place trees in those areas.
Okay, so
So-
the priority
we're-
is tree planting.
Tree planting would be our priority.
Mm.
Okay, so I guess that's,
So then the budget should reflect that.
yeah. We'll just stick, we'll have less trees and less removals and less trims.
What,
I would
what's-
imagine we will see what these,
Isn't the removal because they're dying or something? Wasn't it?
yes, diseases and hazardous trees, I believe.
Right.
yeah, I mean, everybody's gonna have a different opinion, right? So,
So
ah,
I guess my question is, of the 8 million, how much is currently budgeted for planting?
I can let you know in a
Oh.
second.
I wrote that. Or I just put down removals and trims.
Mhm.
Yes, planting, watering, and mulching would all have,
They're all in the same budget.
they're all in the same budget.
That's
Okay.
2.4 million.
2.24.
Okay, let me get to
With-
note.
With the cost that we have here, we'll probably be able to plant half the amount of trees that have came in here on this cost. So I guess with this committee, I guess we decide which companies we go with. And then when we do the contract, that's where we put in the amounts.
Yes, I think though we should definitely negotiate as much as we can during the negotiation process to maximize the funds
Right.
available.
Yeah.
So while
Okay.
this might be what they've submitted, I don't think we should take it for, like, not take it for face value. Like if we can shave $20 to $50 off per tree, how does that help us long term overall? I don't know. I mean, I'm not the math person, but just something for us to consider, that while these are the bids, they are not the final numbers.
And that's gonna happen in the negotiation part of it.
Yes.
So they'll either say, yes, we'll do that, or no, and if somebody else says yes, then they may be the one that get the bulk of it, so. Normally, how long does it take for a tree to come down?
For a large tree, it could be half a day to a week.
Mm.
Okay, and I know you were saying maybe 603 months. Was that, but that was using 3 companies, is that correct?
It just matters on their capacity, Judy, and I
Okay.
can't. That's where if they want to drag their feet and only put a certain amount of, if they sign a contract for 5 years and then they say, we'll get these trees down, but it's going to be 5 years. Then they're not, I guess, how do I push them if we assign a figure to it?
The 2-year timeline would need to be written into the contract as well.
Right. I don't know if that's Yolanda at the door. So with that said, I think that we need to decide it's either 1 or 2 companies here then.
I think it should, when you're talking about like for the planting or the removing?
I'm just sticking with the removals right now.
Well, okay. Well, it definitely can't be one. I don't think we should put all our eggs in one basket for this type of timeline. So at least 2.
Okay.
And
So with the removals, I think we ought to do Monster Tree Service and MTL.
And
So
why
that
do
was
you,
Worry about, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's right. Michael Tree Labor. And what was the second one?
The Monster Tree Service and Michael's Tree and Loader.
No, that
and why
makes
do you,
closer and right.
Because they gave us they gave us a specific rate.
oh, and the other one did per hour. And that's fine. Yeah,
Hanson's-
they didn't pay attention to the rules.
So Hanson's, in my mind, I thought we could have them under contract. And then we could give them 100, 200 trees, and they come back and maybe they work faster than the other two companies. Maybe they're actually cheaper than MTL and Monster. But I don't want to be tied to them being twice as expensive. And then all of a sudden now we have a third of our budget going to Hanson's, who are actually more expensive. Where I know
Yeah, I
I know a
agree.
tree, 12-inch tree is only going to cost us $150 with Monster, and MTL it's going to be $175.
Yeah, I agree. The Hansons, I think the per hour rate allows for potential,
Yeah,
they might say it took 2 hours to remove a tree, but maybe it didn't. Who knows? I don't know. Like
Right.
it requires more compliance on our behalf to make sure they're being honest with their hourly rates.
and Hanson's
So.
cost it'll be jumping
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
not a fixed rate.
Because sorry, and I gave you the pruning cost on the MTL and Monster. And yeah, you would have to do a long term to see what it kind of came out, because obviously, Michaels and Monster are going to lose money on some of them because some trees are going to have a large canopy and then others are going to have a smaller canopy. So it will equal out in the wash. So I guess, do we need to vote on that, or to just continue to talk and move on to pruning at this time? Or do we want to vote on tree removals?
Angela, I think you're on
I'm
mute.
sorry. Yes, I think we should vote on tree removals. It makes sense to just kind of break it up by service.
Okay. And yes, go ahead, Angela, sorry.
So I move that we accept the proposals for Michael Tree and Loader Service and Monster Tree Service to perform removals for this RFP.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those
I
opposed?
apologize. I was looking down right. I didn't see who seconded.
Jay
Jay.
seconded.
Okay, thank you, Jay.
Okay, so we're moving on to pruning. In our RFP, we asked that there be a certified arborist on site for pruning.
Mhm.
None of them gave us that criteria. There are ISA
Interesting.
members on staff, but they're not going to have an ISA. Well, we don't know if they're going to have an ISA person present. We looked back at our grant, and that wasn't a requirement in the federal government grant that we wrote in there. We wrote that in just for our RFP to kind of
To ensure quality.
so
What did they say was the education of the arborist? Did they, I'm sorry, I should know this, but I did not look at these in
I mean, all of
as
them
in-depth
mentioned
as I would have
years of
liked.
experience as arborists or tree work in general, but Hanson's mentions 9, I think, arborists on staff, certified arborists on staff. We don't know that those people are going out in the field, but I think they're the only folks that really mention how many they have.
So they mentioned TCIA accreditation. What's that?
The Tree Care Industry Association. It's a professional organization for private businesses.
Okay. They said Carl Dreyer ISA certified arborist. Is that what was it that we asked for?
that
That.
ISA certified.
ISA certification.
And that's-
Okay, well,
that's a
they said
personal
they have it.
certification. Right, but it's a personal certification rather than TCIA being a business certification.
And the difference is we asked for them to have an ISA certified arborist on site during
Yeah.
pruning, not just on staff.
Directing or
Oh,
performing work.
okay.
And yeah, I don't know how many. I don't know out in the world how often that works. Like especially in the private industry, you may meet the certified arborist, and they're going to tell you what they're going to do to the tree, but they're probably more than likely bidding and consulting, not doing the labor. So
Okay, so you think, so even though what Hanson says they have 8 ISA certified arborists on staff, you don't believe that those staff people will be the ones moving or doing the stuff, doing the work?
There's not enough evidence to tell.
Okay, well, I think if we need to ask more questions of them, we should, if that's, if
Yeah.
that is something of concern for you all, like,
Yes.
we should definitely do our due diligence and get those questions answered.
How does that work out if you have one on site and you have them at different locations doing the pruning and stuff?
yeah, I think Judy, if you're on a single block and you're doing 10 or 20 trims, I feel that's on site. And they can bounce back and forth between these crews running and pruning.
So everything they're doing is gonna be within the same area. It's not that
Yeah.
a site here, North St. Louis, a site South St. Louis. So it's gonna they should be working right there in that same area, completing that. Okay, then that makes sense to me. Okay.
I think it's also reasonable to expect a business to have more than one person out on the field who is a certified arborist.
Okay.
So, and then also too, we could just add that into the contract, like as a contract term, that ISA certified arborist must be on site when work is being performed.
Right.
We can. I don't know if we were shooting for the moon, and that's not a procedure that is industry standard, is my concern.
Okay, so
So
Okay.
none of them said that they would do that. So I feel like they give direction. They may show up. I look at our crews as saying kind of our arborists go out and inspect the tree. They kind of tell our crews what to do. But any of our tree crews out there, out of all our tree crews working, believe we have 1 or 2 that are actually certified arborists doing the work.
yeah, I think, and I understand that. I guess my question was, is do you guys want them to be there supervising while the work is being done, correct? Or you want them actually doing the work?
We wanted them to be on site, but I think we're asking a little bit too much. It's not something we do. We give direction and say, here's what you need to do, and our labor does it. The arborists aren't on site while the work is being done. They're moving on to the next direction, maybe talking to citizens. And so I think maybe we went a little too far with our criteria.
I think it's still worth the conversation. I don't want us to just assume. We shouldn't just assume ourselves. We should not assume that. I think it's good to.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea too, just to have that conversation and see what their policy is in terms of having an arborist, certified one on site. And
That sounds great. Okay.
And then if they say no, it's not possible, at least we know we asked and we tried, you know?
Right. Yeah.
The answer is always no if you don't ask.
So, right. So I guess now we need to decide as a group, who are we going to ask that question to? It looks like Michael's Tree and Loader, they gave us a cost for $175 a tree.
And
no
this
matter
is
what.
pruning services?
Yeah, sorry, pruning services. It's just $175 a tree, period. Let's see, cheap.
That seems very cheap.
That's crazy cheap. Monster, they gave us the criteria, you know, 12 to 24, 150, 24 to 36, 175, 36 to 48, 200, and 48 plus 250. I would continue to say that that seems very reasonable as well. Midwest Scapes didn't give us a cost, and then Hanson's again did the hourly, and I didn't write
It was
down.
the same pricing,
It was same
same
price,
pricing structure.
same pricing structure as the removals.
Mhm.
So as a committee, and we don't need to vote on anything, I guess you maybe just give us some direction. Do we try to squeeze out something from Hanson's, saying, hey, can you give us an hourly, or not an hourly rate? Can you give us
Per tree rate.
a per tree rate? And do you have an ISA representative on site? Will you? And then we could ask Monster Tree Service and Michael's Tree and Loader. Or do we just go with Michael's Tree and Loader and Monster for pruning?
I was thinking to go with the same two, since we've already kind of made a decision on the other, and the RFP was already submitted.
Say that again, Jay. What you mean?
So I would go with the two that already responded correctly to the RFP, instead of going back to ask the company to then now produce what the other two companies did.
Mm-hmm.
I worry about how that would.
Yeah.
How fair that is. Good
Mhm.
point.
But then my question to that would be,
So
are
let's
they able to do what we first voted on, and then to add this extra to them? Is that gonna cause a delay? And
So-
we did the tree removal, and we did those two.
So how about this? Do we want to just take a vote to disqualify Hanson's because they did not follow the rules of the RFP? Therefore, we no longer have to discuss them as an option.
I would
Not
second.
Because if this is, and I'm okay, I'm just throwing this out there, because if we're excluding them from the services because they didn't follow the instruction, then that means their RFP was incomplete or not correct or whatever. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I
Can
mean,
I
you tell
say-
me.
Out of everybody that did
Submit a bid.
submit a bid,
Yeah.
Hanson's seems the most qualified for tree trimming.
Okay,
Tree
for
trimming
treatment.
is a technical, where it's an art form one,
Mhm.
but it's also, there's a lot of science behind it.
Okay.
Tree removals, we're just taking a tree and safely bringing it to the ground.
Okay. That's fine. That's
so
why I asked,
I
because
I don't wanted to throw that out there, but I
Mhm.
know they did not price it according to what we wanted. Michael's
even
Tree
for the
Service-
trimming, they didn't even price that right either.
No.
Right. So they do address that, and they kind of, in their narrative, refused to do it by hour because they thought it would be cheaper over time to do it per tree. They want to address every tree individually rather than give an average.
Okay.
Monster, did they have ISA certified arborists? Did they mention that?
I think one of their owners is.
Okay, so Monster does have an ISA certified arborist on staff. Michael's Tree and Loader, they didn't mention it. So sorry, throwing a wrench into it, but we also have our ISA arborists on our staff, and if they are doing pruning improperly, we can stop them, correct them, and if they don't correct it, then we can just terminate their contract as well. So Any thoughts?
Mm.
And we've been talking about Monster and MLT. And what about, did Midwest bid on this part as well?
No, they didn't, Judy.
They didn't bid, okay.
They only bid on the watering and
And
mulching.
the mulch, that's right, okay. Cause I figured out their costs at what they did per tree for that. Okay,
So it sounds like for pruning, you're leaning towards Michael and Monster,
well,
or is it just Monster?
it looked like just Monster.
I'd like to talk to Monster and MTL, or at least send them an email
Mhm.
and see if they could give us a little more experience, maybe how they prune trees.
Mhm. We're
And-
asking for 1,805 trees to be pruned every year for 4 years.
Hmm.
However, we split that up.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, and I don't want to belabor this any longer, but and I don't know who would know this from our PSA committee standpoint, but when we reach out and talk to these folks, I'm assuming it's just going to be via email, or do we? I don't want to have them come in for a presentation. I know that's been done in the past with other types of RFPs. I don't know if this is applicable, but like, is it? How do we do that in a way that is in compliance with the PSA committee rules when talking to potential vendors and proposers? I don't know the rules around that.
In my time here, we've always had legal participate in those conversations in the city council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And would you email Jay, or would
Yeah,
you?
I mean, ours did. The city councilor that was assigned to a few PSAs that I was on took the lead on that.
Yeah. I would say, who's your legal rep for forestry, Alan?
Nancy, I believe.
Nancy Walsh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would check in with Nancy Walsh, see what she has to say, but I would recommend email first.
Yeah.
And whatever questions you ask both vendors the same questions.
Okay. I don't feel like it's getting too complicated. I think an email would be
Yeah.
pretty easy.
So for pruning, and I'm just being conscious of time. We're at 11:50 here. For pruning, then it sounds like we want to potentially go forward with Monster and Michael, contingent upon further conversation.
Correct.
Okay. So are we okay with me making that the motion? I'm saying
Yeah.
that's okay. So I move that we move forward with Monster tree service and Michael tree and loader service for pruning services, contingent upon a further conversation regarding certifications and rates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so let's move into watering and mulching. The watering and mulching it's come in 3 times budget.
Or more.
Three times or more the budget. So this was a key component to really plant a bunch of trees. I know Hanson's, I'm sure they water some, but I don't see them out there. They're a big tree removal and tree consulting firm. Their costs came in rather higher than what we anticipated. Midwest came in half the cost of Michael's or Hanson's, and it still was a lot more than what we anticipated. I know Midwest they work for us as far as they do a lot of grass cutting and they do grass cutting in parks. I've never seen them, out there watering trees. I don't want to say none of these companies have, but I don't feel like it's their forte. I don't know about Monster Tree Service, but again, they're coming in at $50 per tree per visit. And then Michael's Tree and Loader didn't bid on it as well. And none of these companies are like landscape companies that have water trucks and actually do that as one of their services. I think they bid on it and they kind of say, yeah, we could probably do this, but I don't believe any of them have like a 4,000 gallon water truck. And I could be wrong. Maybe that's the cost these come in, but I thought, could we send this back out to bid, not the whole RFP, but could we carve that out, the tree watering and pruning, and resubmit that?
You mean watering and mulching?
Watering and mulching.
Yeah.
If you feel like you have not received quality responses, then I support you in wanting to do that.
Did the RFP say how often the watering and mulching was to take place?
Yes. Watering was every week during the growing season, which is approximately April through October. So we were figuring 27 weeks because that's the normal schedule that most mowing operations happen in. That's usually the growing season. And mulching was once a year.
Okay, so on the watering, because I did like with Hanson, they said $30 per watering, per tree.
Mm-hmm.
And that came up to be cheaper than the cost that who was this other one that I had? I get the names confused here. But that was, you said it was more, but it was actually cheaper than Midwest. Because
I calculated out to Midwest is only doing 900 trees.
Oh,
and they're doing it for 20 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So they're $1,650 per tree.
Okay.
but it was less weeks.
Right. Okay. And even on the mulching side, once a year, was that the right number of trees that they that you had 2,700? What Midwest had on here?
Yes.
Because that one came out to be 81,000, if that one is correct.
Yeah, and they went down to $80
and this
per tree.
was 200 and something thousand.
Right.
So the 81,000 on the mulching for once a year was a lot cheaper than 237,600.
I was expecting that Midwestscapes did not understand that the mulch was free for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it came out to $88 per tree,
they had to purchase the mulch.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, Judy, maybe we could be a little more descriptive and saying, it's only these wards in the city of St. Louis, not the whole city. Because we're only planting in
the climate and economic justice
four or five wards, probably.
Yeah.
And we could narrow it down and just say, hey, we're only planting trees here, so we're only watering trees in this area. We don't have the exact locations where all the trees are going to go just quite yet, but it has to stay within those wards. And we could also put on there that, hey, the city will supply the mulch.
So then I think that you do need to go back out for bid and to clarify your RFP on what you're actually looking for the watering and the mulching.
Judy, would it be the same? Would it go out under the same RFP as this one, or could we just
No, it's gonna be different because you don't want the whole thing that you had before. You're just going out for these two now.
Great. And that, and all well, RFP will say watering, mulching trees. So it'd be
Yeah.
more specific, because our RFP was kind of just mentioned tree canopy, health and maintenance. It doesn't really catch somebody's eye if it was, we're out there watering, just watering. So I'd like to see some more like landscapers, kind of bid on this and less tree companies. Cause I feel like the tree companies kind of stick toward more of the big ticket items. But so if I don't know how we just don't select anybody off of watering and mulching in this RFP and that will just die out. Is that
Right, it just go back out for bid again, so.
okay? And then
Yeah.
so we'll do the tree removals. We'll move forward on the contracts with the tree removals. The pruning, we need to work with legal and get a couple of questions answered. And then we can reconvene as a committee.
Doretta,
Can we get a motion to, put out a new RFP for mulching and watering?
yes. But before we do that, Alan, are you still wanting to do tree trimming? Because we haven't talked about trimming yet. Or is trimming and pruning the same thing?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
okay, got it.
Don't educating us, Angela, because I didn't know that either.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay, well, I just want to make sure. So I want to make sure we've talked about all of the services. All right. With that being said, I move that we reissue an RFP for tree watering and mulching services.
Second,
Okay. All
All
in
in
favor?
favor? Aye.
Aye.
No opposed. So, okay, we'll move forward with that. Do we need to vote? Jay, do we need to vote again on the removals or can we move forward on that? Or should we get our trims together and then vote on that and then move forward with this RFP? Or can we move forward on the removals and work a contract up with Monster and MTL?
I can say, I thought I had them listed that's who we selected.
yeah, you
Yes.
voted.
And we
We-
voted on it.
We did.
Yes, we voted. We
Okay.
voted on Michael and Monster. We also voted on pruning on Michael and Monster, contingent on your conversations.
Okay.
So that means, let's say you have your conversations and it came out that Michael is the better vendor to do all of it. That's fine. Or Monster, if you want to split it, we voted that it would be either or depending on your conversation. So
That sounds good.
But for your
Yeah.
question, for tree removal, you're ready to move forward. So
Yes.
that
Great.
was, yeah.
Didn't know I could just pull one little segment out. So, okay. And do we want to try to meet next week or a week and a half from now to talk about pruning and put this to rest? Could we
Yeah, we
meet?
probably should meet once you have your conversation with them, because I mean, to your point, I would figure this would be one contract for both.
Oh, yeah.
No, when you
Well-
say one contract, you mean, what do you mean?
Both the tree removal and the pruning will be in one contract, or will these be two separate contracts?
I think it might be, well, I don't know. It depends on who the vendors are. But I think they should
I
be
think it'd
separate.
easier for them to be separate because
Okay.
you can move forward with removal.
Got
And
it.
you still have conversation for the pruning portion.
I agree.
So,
I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I think the contract should be separate based on service.
Yeah.
but I
That's-
think in meeting, if you wanted to meet again after you get that done, And then maybe at that time, you can also have the RFP for watering and mulching, and then the minutes, and we can do all that at the next meeting.
Agreed. I like that path forward.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll just send out an email and see when everybody's available. Does that sound
Okay.
good? Instead of
Yes.
trying to set a date now?
Mhm.
Okay,
Still gotta get the.
any other comments? before?
Would it be easier to set a date now while we have everyone on the phone?
It would be
No.
easy.
Oh, Doretta's shaking her head. No. Okay, never
The
mind.
reason I say, this is why I say no, because still gotta I gotta get the RFP together and do the RFP for the mulching and the water, send it to legal, get it approved and everything, and then get
Okay,
it.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it's, you
And then-
know.
Yep. I hear what you're saying.
I guess. there
I
could
hear
be
exactly what you're saying.
Numbers.
Understood.
Okay. Well, we will send out an email to try to reconvene about the pruning. And hopefully we should have some, I wouldn't think it'd take us too long to get those answers. So we'll get that email and work with legal, hopefully send that out like next week or tomorrow. So I guess we could, if there's no other comments, we can have a motion to.
I'll
adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
All right. Have a great time. Thank you.
Bye,
all very much.
everyone.